Something extraordinary is happening, Patriots. Donald Trump isn't just planning a return to the White House, he is planning a complete transformation of America. RFK Jr. recently spent 2 days with Trump and said something remarkable. The level of change he wants to make in our government is going to be unprecedented. From bringing back the World's Fair to appointing Susie Wiles as the first female chief of staff in history, from demanding military resignations over Afghanistan to promising the release of long hidden documents. This is not just a presidency, my friends, it's a revolution. And speaking of transformation, just as Trump is promising to restore America's greatness, there is a way to restore your body's natural vitality. Like our nation rebuilding itself, your body needs the right resources to rejuvenate. After age 20, your collagen production drops dramatically, much like how our country's strength was depleted before Trump. But just as Trump's leadership is bringing America back, this revolutionary collagen formula can help bring back your youthful glow. Visit healthwithgary.com for 51% off, plus receive free VIP health coaching and a free ebook and a 60-day guarantee. Don't wait. Restore yourself today. Now, we've got some news. We're going to get a little bit deeper into this, but yes, the good news is Alex Jones, there is a massive campaign to bring him in as the press secretary. Now, that is one man who I would love to see at that podium. Oh, yes, he would have full control of the narrative. We're going to go a little bit deeper into some of the reactions, some of the stories behind that. But this is the scene at Mar-a-Lago. Yes, robot dogs are now patrolling Mar-a-Lago. And thank God they are. Because just too many Secret Service failures, right? So I'm not sure who's controlling these dogs or if they're fully autonomous. But security has been completely amplified. I mean, is there a gun on there? I don't know if there's a gun on those things or not. But if I saw one of those things coming at me, I might walk the other way. But thank God there is amplified security, and they're deploying this technology to protect our next president. And yes, the draining of the swamp has already commenced. Every single military officer involved in the treasonous Afghanistan withdrawal must have their resignation on Trump's desk by noon on Inauguration Day.
You have to fire. We'll get the resignations of every single senior official who touched the Afghanistan calamity to be on my desk at noon on Inauguration Day. You know, you have to fire people. You have to fire people when they do a bad job. We never fire anybody. You got to fire them. Like on The Apprentice, you're fired. You did a lousy job. You did a terrible, terrible disservice to our country. You get fired when that happens. Nobody got fired. Nobody ever gets fired in this administration. It's amazing. All the bad things that have happened, nobody ever gets fired. The problem is when you fire somebody, they always end up writing a book about you, you know? I've had more books written about me. I fire a lot of people when they don't do a good job. I get a book written about me by all these losers that get fired.
You know, folks, these last couple days, I don't know about you, but I feel like I've been living in like a dream state. It's really strange. I mean, it really feels like a cloud has been lifted off of this country. It's the most bizarre thing. Like I still can't, it still hasn't hit me 100%. But the more I see clips like this, the more I realize it's really, really happening. And the more I see clips of liberals melting down on TikTok, the more I realize this is all really happening. I mean, America's best days are coming, my friends. They're coming. I'm so happy. Oh, man. But you know, the fight, they're going to fight. The deep state's not going to go down without a fight. I mean, they're already working in the back, trying to, Trump-proof the presidency. But you cannot fight truth. And then we have more good news. See, so many things are happening. As soon as Trump got elected, now all these dominoes are starting to fall. 4 hours ago, New York City has announced they're ending its food vouchers for migrants. Listen to this.
hotels. And
News, the mayor just announced that the city will no longer issue vouchers to migrants to pay for food, ending a controversial program that had repeatedly come under attack by conservatives and others.
This pilot program in New York City, drenched in both humanity and controversy, distributed debit cards to migrant families staying in city-funded hotels and allowing them to buy their own food. Eyewitness News reporter Josh Onier following the breaking news for us. Josh?
Well, Bill, it's a program that, as you say, generated plenty of controversy, but now its absence may raise even more questions. The so-called Immediate Response Cards pilot program was designed to help feed migrant families who'd found themselves in New York with no way to afford food. The one-year contract provided what the city described as culturally relevant food to 2,600 migrant families, allowing them to basically buy what they wanted. A family of four with two kids under 5 got about $350 per week to cover food in a program the city said would actually save taxpayers millions a year. It also reduced food waste. You may remember the food the city had been providing in migrant shelters was seen as not culturally sensitive to the needs of some migrant groups, and it ended up just going to waste. For more than a year, the city was groaning under the weight of more than 200,000 asylum seekers. Officials say the migrant population has actually reduced lately. In fact, a massive shelter on Roosevelt Island is in the process of closing. In the meantime, Mayor Adams spoke on the phone yesterday with President-elect Donald Trump, who had vowed during his campaign to mass deport migrants.
Yeah.
Aside from congratulating him on his win, though, Adams today would not say what they discussed.
News, the mayor just announced that.
Yes, the gravy train is over. Also, this good news, the film that I had the privilege of seeing at Mar-a-Lago, where Donald Trump showed up, I got to shake his hand. Oh, that was a beautiful moment. Global Ascension Studios, the film, The Man You Don't Know, has now broke 50 million views. Yes, they released it on X, and I have posted about this. It is now also available for video on demand. If you don't want to watch it on X in a low quality format, you can now also get it on demand. They did send me the press release. I didn't have time to put it together for this broadcast. I will put something out on X later, but right now it is on X and it has broke 50 million views. The film reveals the true story of Donald Trump, the people's lives that he affected, the stories that you never heard before, including a friend of mine, Shane Bouvet, who Donald Trump paid for his father's cancer treatment, saved his life. He's featured in the film, and he also has a new book out. It's called A Man Misunderstood. Go on my X feed. You'll find all about it. Look him up on X. You'll find the story. You'll find the book. 2 great pieces of media that tell the true story of Donald Trump. Now, ALX posting this 9 hours ago. Donald Trump says there's no price tag for his mass deportation plan. It's not a question of a price tag. It's not really. We have no choice. When people have killed, murdered, when drug lords have destroyed countries, and now they're going to go back to those countries because they're not staying here. There is no price tag on that. No, we need to restore order in this country. And then this news breaking today, just 6 hours ago, President Trump has selected Susie Wiles, who was his campaign manager, to be the White House chief of staff. It's a huge blow to Kevin McCarthy, who is vying for this incredibly powerful position. And Nick Sortor on X stating, thank God McCarthy's been shoved to the side. You know, if McCarthy got that position, I would be very concerned. Be like having, another, compromised Republican whispering in Trump's ear. Well, now we have Susie Wiles. This is great. Also, Eric Darty is reporting that RFK Jr. has declared he does not want Marco Rubio as Secretary of State and will advocate for someone less neocon. Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay. Marco Rubio is clearly of the neocon cloth and is somebody that we do not want as Secretary of State running around the planet representing us. I'm sure we could find somebody else. If you have any ideas who should be Secretary of State, drop it in the comments. Donald Trump watches. He will see it. maybe he'll take your advice. We're also learning here that the Argentina president, Milei, is going to meet with Elon Musk and Donald Trump next week in the United States. This is going to be another massive meeting, a homecoming. And, Milei is shaking things up there in Argentina. Amazing. Laura Loomer also posting about Susie Wiles. And here's the official statement. President Trump announces Susan Summerall Wiles as White House Chief of Staff. The 45th and 47th President of the United States has announced Susan Summerall Wiles, the winning campaign manager for President Trump's highly successful 2024 campaign for president, will be named President Trump's White House Chief of Staff. We're also learning this. President Trump will fire every official or agent at the FBI, CIA, DHS, CDC, etc., that forced big tech to censor the truth about the 2020 election and COVID. Now, if you've been following us long enough, you know what we endured here. Multiple videos taken down, interviews that had a global impact and quite literally saved millions of people's lives were removed from this channel. We could not talk about the 2020 election, even though for the duration of Donald Trump's 2016 campaign, they kept saying that he was an illegitimate president, that he stole the 2016 election, that Vladimir Putin put him there ad nauseum. That is the narrative we heard for years during the 2016 campaign. And the second we go out and we question anything about 2020, boom, strike, delete, silence, censor. Why would they do that? Maybe it's because we were right and they didn't want the truth to get out. Well, it looks like the truth is about to hit them real hard when President Trump plans to fire them. He will also be stripping the security clearances of the 51 intel officers who labeled Hunter Biden's laptop as Russian disinfo. Yeah. Let's see what J.D. Vance had to say about this.
Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah. On the subject of censorship, since we're on with Elon, we know what's happening in Brazil. Sure. They blocked X. Now they've taken Starlink, to my understanding. Are we going to see any blowback if you and President Trump take office about all of the censorship that happened before? Yeah. Mark Zuckerberg just released that letter saying, "Oh, I fell to victim to the FBI pressuring me to censor." Are we going to see any repercussions for people that censored?
Yes, we're going to fire the people who censored. We're going to fire the people who were telling Mark Zuckerberg and all the other technology companies that they needed to censor. Fire the 50 intelligence operatives who said that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. A lot of those people still have security clearances. Strip every single one of those people of their security clearances. Fire every single person. You cannot lie. Take your position of public trust and lie to the American people for political purposes. It's disgraceful, and people have to suffer consequences for it.
And the consequences are going to be severe. They're going to lose their security clearance. And these guys, they rely on that security clearance because they can talk to people on the inside, and then they go and become talking heads on MSNBC, and then they whisper certain truths that they've learned on the inside. They leak information. They sign these letters that claim Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation. Well, we know that was completely fraudulent. Susie Wiles' daughter, Katie Wiles, very happy. Just when I think I couldn't be prouder to be her daughter. Just when I think this week has been too good to be true. Just when I think I may not cry any more happy tears. Here we are. Here we go. And she posted the message from Donald Trump. Donald Trump Jr., America First, it's become cool. Let's hear what he has to say on, looks like Fox and Friends.
Every single county. Hey, Don, what about New York? Can you believe the numbers in this state? Brian and I are voters here in New York, and the map has shifted. In almost every single county in New York, Republicans saw improvements, 22 percentage points better in the Bronx and in Queens than he did in 2020. The overall numbers, she got 55.4. He got 44.6. That's New York, the state of New York. What's your reaction?
Listen, I think, again, people are getting it. New York City, the outer boroughs, that's always going to be a little bit different. You go up to upstate New York where, I have a cabin. I go into a restaurant, I'm getting high fives all over the place. So New York City is always going to be different. New York State, it's sort of amazing. I saw the same thing in New Jersey, but there's so many other demographics that we did so well with. When you look at the numbers, whether it's African Americans, whether it's Hispanics, I mean, there were states where we actually got over 50% of the youth vote, the 18 to 29 vote. That would have never been possible before, but they understand it. The reality is right now, Trump, America first, it's become cool. It's become very cool. I've gone on college campuses and there's, 1,000 kids going to a party. They're wearing MAGA hats and I'm there. It's absolutely spectacular to see. So there's been a whole cultural shift. If you're a rebel, if you're a hippie, if you were a little bit counterculture, if you want to push back, you're actually in the Republican Party now. The Democrat Party is that party of you're just listening to, the gospel of your teachers, of big government, of big corporate. There's nothing that sexy about it anymore. So it's really cool to see. And they even rejected all of the celebrity endorsements that came about, presumably because all those people were at the Diddy parties. It was magic how all these people said, we're not getting involved in politics. Yeah. Diddy gets arrested. All of a sudden they're endorsing Kamala Harris, presumably for the future pardon. It's really interesting to see and interesting to watch. And it was great to see the American public, especially the youth, reject that nonsense.
They made their voices heard, Don. It was a tsunami. We finally.
What I think is interesting, he brings up the celebrity endorsements. And I brought this up during our live stream of the election results. Those celebrity endorsements don't carry the same weight that they used to. They really don't. Because I said before, everyone's a celebrity now. Everyone thinks they're a celebrity. On Instagram, X, YouTube, whatever it is. They all think they're celebrities. So just like we leveled the playing field in 2016 and caught everyone off guard with our reporting of the election then, I mean, we were the #1 channel on YouTube, exceeding MSNBC, CNN, Fox, BBC, even the White House, even Hillary Clinton. We beat everybody. I mean, we had more views than the Young Turks, even Alex Jones. Okay? So we leveled the playing field. And similarly, celebrities are just like regular folks now, trying to compete for swipe time on your feed. So their endorsements mean nothing. And Kamala Harris leaned very hard into the celebrity endorsements. And all those celebrity endorsements, all they do is they're alienating their fan base. They're splitting their fan base down the middle. And now people are like, okay, I see where you stand. Right? No, I'm not going to watch your movies anymore. I'm not going to buy your books anymore. I'm not going to follow you on Instagram anymore. That's to their detriment. And the Democrats have a lot to learn. We have this now, the president in the White House, Republican majority in the Senate. We will be united around putting America first. This is great.
Companies for bringing.
And as we wait to see who controls the House, as the Speaker just said, the Senate firmly in Republican hands. The GOP has 52 seats after flipping 3, with 4 races still left to be called. Ohio was the second seat flipped last night. Republican Bernie Moreno defeated incumbent Democrat Sherrod Brown in one of the most expensive Senate races in U.S. history. Senator-elect Bernie Moreno, who worked his tail off, joins us now. Senator-elect, first, congrats on the victory. It's a huge one. What is your message to America tonight after hearing those defiant words from Kamala Harris?
Look, they're just out of touch where Americans are. Americans want to be united. I think what we saw yesterday was a red, white, and blue wave. The idea that we're one country governed by center-right leaders that have our interests in mind before anything else. If we accomplish that over the next 4 years, which I believe we will with President Trump, we're going to stay in a permanent majority because they're going to see that Republican policies make their lives better.
Bernie, there was concern that there would be a move in the Senate to try to undo Trump tariffs in this tax bill that they're already working on, I understand. And you obviously ran hard on the tariff issue. Will you tell our viewers tonight that those tariffs aren't going anywhere?
They're not only not going anywhere, we're going to have a tax policy that punishes companies that ship our jobs overseas and a tax policy that rewards companies for bringing jobs back. Look, Laura, we got to be serious about growing our middle class.
You know what's crazy about this is this is a lot of language we saw in 2016. And Biden came in and destroyed all those policies that were really building up America's independence again. Now we got to basically start all over again, get these bills back in play, get these executive orders in play. But now Donald Trump has a mandate from the American people. He has the Senate in his control. Hopefully we can maintain the majority in the House. And of course we have the Supreme Court. So Donald Trump, he really has a trifecta in government. And it's going to be beautiful to watch him execute the mandate that the American people have given him to put America first once again. Oh, yes, there's more to get to. Yeah, don't go anywhere. This is a beautiful message.
3 years from now, the United States will celebrate the biggest and most important milestone in our country's history. 250 years of American independence. What a great country. And we have to keep it that way. But that's why, as a nation, we should be preparing for a most spectacular birthday party. We want to make it the best of all time. Here is my plan to give America's founding in 1776 the incredible anniversary it truly deserves. On day one, I will convene a White House task force called Salute to America 250. It will be responsible for coordinating with state and local governments to ensure not just one day of celebration, but an entire year of festivities across the nation, starting on Memorial Day 2025 and continuing through July 4th, 2026. Second, I will work with all 50 governors, Republican and Democrat alike, to create the Great American State Fair, a unique one-year exhibition featuring pavilions from all 50 states. It'll be something. The Great American State Fair will showcase the glory of every state in the Union, promote pride in our history, and put forth innovative visions for America's future. My hope is that the amazing people of Iowa will work with my administration to open up the legendary Iowa State Fairgrounds to host the Great American State Fair and welcome millions and millions of visitors from around the world to the heartland of America for this special one-time festival. Together we will build it and they will come. Third, alongside the Great American State Fair, we will host major sporting contests for high school athletes. These are great athletes, wonderful athletes from fantastic high schools all around the country. These Patriot Games will allow young Americans from every state to show off the best of American skill, sportsmanship, and competitive spirit. Fourth, I will sign an executive order to bring back our National Garden of American Heroes, which we want to build very badly, commission artists for the first 100 statues to populate this new statuary park honoring the greatest Americans of all time. Fifth, as president, I will invite the leaders and citizens of nations around the world to visit the United States in honor of our 250th anniversary. It's going to be great. America's tourist industry should get ready because we're going to have a lot of people coming. It will be a record year. And finally, and most importantly, I will ask America's great religious communities to pray for our nation and our people as we prepare for this momentous occasion. From the very beginning, America has been a country sustained and strengthened by prayer and by our communities of faith. As we chart a course toward the next 250 years, let us come together and rededicate ourselves as one nation under God. Thank you.
And then we have this talking about birthright citizenship.
I will sign. As part of my plan to secure the border on day one of my new term in office, I will sign an executive order making clear to federal agencies that under the correct interpretation of the law, going forward, the future children of illegal aliens will not receive automatic U.S. citizenship. It's things like this that bring millions of people to our country, and they enter our country illegally. As part of my plan to secure...
And, you know, they have a thing called birth vacations or whatever they call them. They literally send a pregnant woman on a plane in her 9th month when she's just ready to give birth to that child in America and that child is automatically granted citizenship. And then they take the baby back. That, I think it's birth tourism, I believe it's what it's called. That's going to be a thing of the past. But I know you guys want to talk about Alex Jones, right? For press secretary? Yeah. That is what everyone is talking about. And he definitely gets my vote for that. Here we have Alex formally accepting the offer to serve as President Trump's press secretary. A massive movement online. Will it actually happen? I don't know. I believe Donald Trump Jr. has actually stated that he is for it as well. Here is Candace Owens discussing it today.
$1 a year. I want to be very clear about Alex Jones. I will crawl over broken glass and give him everything I earn. If all he needs is someone to pay the salary, leave it to me. Leave it to me. I'll get a second job to pay whatever salary he wants to be the press secretary. If he's like, I'm gonna need $500,000 a year, leave it to me. Like I said, I will pick up a job and I will raise the money. It'll be totally fine. If we get Alex Jones, we are not worthy. We are not worthy. But Trump, please, it would be the greatest troll. And by the way, he is more than equipped for it. He has run a show for decades. All he does is talk and answer and respond to questions. He is totally equipped for it, and they hate him. The deep state hates Alex Jones with a vengeance. X Smokes writes, Candace, you should be Trump's press secretary. Look, I would be very good at that job, but come on, Alex Jones, like there could be no one better suited for that job that would make us happier. We would be watching press briefings every single day like it was Game of Thrones. Like we'd just be in seasons of Game of Thrones watching Alex Jones respond to the press. So that is my vote. I want to be
Yeah, he gets my vote too, my friends. 100%. I posted this on X. We strongly second this endorsement for real Alex Jones as White House press secretary. Repost if you agree. So make sure you head over there and cast your vote for Alex Jones as the press secretary he has formally accepted. Don Jr. also says he'd like to pre-endorse Kamala Harris for 2028. I would love for any Republican in the future to be able to run against her. Democrats made such a glaring mistake bringing her in. They ignored their own people. Oh, yes, Alex Jones for press secretary. It is on. And then we have Trump performing nearly 22 percentage points better in the Bronx and Queens than he did in 2020. A staggering improvement in two of the most diverse places on the planet. Alex Jones for press secretary. So, what do you guys think? Yes? No? Look at that map, though. That's the landslide, my friends. That is the landslide that we all love. And then there was this moment, too. This was when they were celebrating. There's Donald Trump. There's Elena Haba. This went viral today as well. Yes, they are having a great time celebrating all this great news. Look at all these. These are the headlines all across the country. Trump storms back. Historic comeback. Return to the White House. A second term. A historic win. Stunning rout. Trump basks in victory. Voters choose Trump. Trump wins second term. Trumped. Oh, yes. The headlines all across the country, all across the world, 4 more years. And it is beautiful to witness. God bless America. God bless President Trump. God bless Alex Jones. Oh, and we have this. How can I forget? We have the news coming out that Special Counsel Jack Smith is in talks with senior leadership at the Justice Department, evaluating ways he can end his prosecutions of President-elect Donald Trump. And we have RFK. You know, he's going to be right there at the forefront. Not sure where he's going to be appointed. I'd love to see him at the head of the CDC or Health and Human Services. But this is he had this to say. It's really interesting about
most
about food and what they're putting in your food. There's going to be a lot of changes coming, friends. We're going to have a lot healthier America because RFK is going to be making sure of it. Let's listen to this for a moment together.
This is what most Americans innocently put into their bodies these days, and most alarmingly, into the bodies of their children. And it's no coincidence that Americans die earlier than Canadians or Germans or Italians or Japanese or Koreans or Australians or most any other comparable country. And it wasn't always that way. Until the early 1990s, our life expectancy was the same or better than other developed countries. Then suddenly, more and more Americans began suffering from chronic diseases, from obesity, cancer, diabetes, kidney disease, Alzheimer's, heart disease, and all kinds of autoimmune diseases. Our maternal mortality rate soared to the highest of any developed country on earth. Same with infant mortality. Like the frog in the slowly boiling water, we didn't really notice as we got sicker and sicker. We've grown now to accept chronic disease conditions as normal. But now, in 2024, we're finally waking up to this cataclysm, and we're asking ourselves, how in the world did this happen? Well, a big part of it is our diet. Restaurants that serve contaminated food are fined or shut down. But when it's the government that approves the poisons in our food, a few people get very, very rich, and the toxins end up in every supermarket aisle. Let me show you what I mean. Doritos, Cheez-Its, Cap'n Crunch, gummy bears. Everyone knows that these are junk foods, so maybe you wouldn't be too surprised to see that the ingredients include a lot of poisons, including a harmful yellow dye called tatrazine, or yellow dye number 5. What you may not know is that this dye was originally made out of the sludge that's left over when you turn coal into coke for blast furnaces. It's called coal tar, and I've actually sued many big industries for legacy contamination of coal tar all around the country because it's so toxic and it's so harmful to the environment and human beings. A century ago, it was just an obnoxious industrial byproduct that everybody was trying to figure out ways to get rid of. One of the ways that they did that was by paving roads. But then a British chemist figured out that the coal tar could be used to derive fabric dye. And if fabric dye, why not food? Food manufacturers began using it to cover up the discoloration of low-quality foods that they wanted to pass off on unsuspecting customers. They didn't know back then that this yellow dye, tartrazine, causes tumors, asthma, developmental delays, neurological damage, ADD, ADHD, hormone disruption, gene damage, anxiety, depression, intestinal injuries. Well, we know it now. We've known this for decades. That's why tartrazine is heavily restricted in other countries. In some countries, foods with tartrazine have a warning label that it may cause ADHD in children. Today, it's made from petroleum, not coal tar. Either way, it's crazy to add this to your kids' favorite foods. It doesn't even change the flavor. This yellow dye isn't just in junk food. It's in the foods that we consider healthy. It's in everyday kids' snacks like popcorn, mac and cheese, fruit snacks. It's in sports drinks like Gatorade and so-called vitamin water. It's even added to chicken broth, to corn, to pickles, to mustard, and to yogurt. And so, of course, our kids get sick. And we lovingly feed them chewable vitamins which have, surprise, tartrazine. And so the cycle continues until the coughs and asthma kick in, at which point you go to pick up some cough syrup. And yeah, you guessed it, tartrazine. I've been picking...
Yeah, now I had no idea about this, and I'm going to be looking for that ingredient on the products I'm buying from now on and make sure my kids don't eat it. But thankfully, we have RFK, who is now going to be working in the Trump administration. And I have a strong feeling they are going to ban this from all food. So this is only the beginning. Only the beginning. The deep state purge is about to happen. The food poison purge is about to happen. A massive, massive shift. And then, of course, look at this. Look at the stock market going nuts. Following the wind, Dow Jones is up over 1,000 points. Bitcoin hitting $77,000 a Bitcoin today. So much good news is happening. And Donald Trump Jr. talking about Elon running the Department of Government Efficiency. Listen to this.
Of government efficiency. Major issue that people have wanted to talk to you about is government spending. So you've engaged Elon in this DOGE, this Department of Government Efficiency. What are the chances that we'll be sitting here 4 years from now and the debt will have changed in any way? Do you think your dad and Elon can actually cut $1 trillion or $2 trillion from the debt or not? And if so,
listen, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm most excited about. That doesn't mean they're just going to roll over easily, right? You know, I think my father had a mandate to do a lot of things in 16. That doesn't mean the swamp is going to go along with it. But when you have the opportunity to basically have the Einstein of our era go in there and do this, a guy that's, you know, doing more in space than NASA with a 75-year head start, you know what? I'll roll the dice with that. You know, you saw Ron Paul jump into the conversation, you know, a couple of days ago. People are just super excited about that. When the interest on our debt right now is $1 trillion a year by itself. I mean, that's bigger than the GDP of most countries, most successful countries. We're just spending it in interest. I'm willing to give those guys a shot. It doesn't mean the government, DC, the bureaucracy, which they're going to cut. I mean, Elon did that with Twitter when he took it over. He cut 80% of the workforce, and it functioned better. I think DC, that the same would happen, but they're not just going to roll over. You can't just fire them.
I think
that's going to take time and process.
Oh, it's going to take time. But we do have some time on our side, my friends. We definitely have time on our side. So the blueprint for America's resurgence is clear. A World's Fair showcasing American innovation, military leadership that puts America first, declassification of documents the deep state never wanted you to see. Market's already up, responding 1,000 points on day one. Even the Chinese are preparing for America to become the world's crypto capital. This is what real leadership looks like. Now, here's what I want to know from you. Which of Trump's promised changes do you think will have the biggest impact on America's future? Share your thoughts in the comments below.